Yo, what's going on? How's everybody feeling heading into game four? Boston up 2-1, potential to make the series a 3-1 lead heading back to San Francisco. We're going to dive into some keys to the game. But before we do that, if you're new to this channel, please make sure you click that like button, that subscribe button, and leave a comment down low. Let me know what you like about this video, what you'd want to change about this video. Obviously, I can't change who I am because I'm the one doing the channel. If you don't know who I am, that's perfectly fine. My name's Adam Taylor. I cover the Boston Celtics for CelticsBlog.com. Heavy.com, and a few other outlets here and there. If you're into X's and O's, you can go follow me on Instagram. I give out breakdowns pretty much every day there. If you're into more of the takes, the opinions and stuff, go follow me over on Twitter. And then I'll be doing this channel regularly now, looking at regular news, doing some X's and O's deep dives, just anything that's Celtics related. If you're a Celtics fan, this channel's for you. If you're looking to talk more high-level X's and O's basketball, this channel's for you. And if you like the trade rumors, this channel's for you. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll be here consistently. Now, I'm going to be putting an article out about this topic later today, but I thought this video would be great supplementary content. So I thought, why not put them together and kind of condense and work on the understanding of that, basically. So what we're looking at today is keys to the game, the way that the Celtics need to adjust, and what they need to expect coming into game four against the Warriors. Now, the first thing we need to look at, obviously, is going to be intensity. Coming out of game one, the Celtics had won that game. They go into game two, and all of a sudden they get punched in the mouth early. The Warriors were super intense. They were picking guys up. Really, their pickup points were around the logo. So guys were getting no room to run their pick and roll offense, nowhere to kind of flow into any sets. Straight away, they were being picked up, and it was simple one pick and roll, one pass plays, because there was just nowhere to penetrate. And when you did penetrate, you were over penetrating, making it really hard to get that ball out of your hands because you're being shown a crowd. People are killing the passing lanes, and all of a sudden you're just in muddy waters from the get-go. Now, it started on the very first play of the game where Draymond Green basically strips Al Horford pretty badly. So if you watch now, what we're going to see is we're going to see a little side action going on between Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum. Tatum resets, passes it to Horford in the delay, and straight away Draymond gets that strip. There's no way you can go. Draymond's up high on that on the delay action, knows that Al Horford's going to look to play make from there. He's not open enough to like throw any sort of three-pointer. He's not going to be the pick and roll ball handler. So he's looking to play mate there. Draymond just gets his hands on the ball and pulls him straight down. Now, the problem is there, that sets the tone. That speeds you up almost instantly because you know that they're picking you up high. You know that they're throwing that intensity at you from the get-go. So now everything's playing at like a couple of seconds faster. Your brain has to move faster. Movements are happening more. And when you're sped up, you're going to make mistakes. And we saw that in the turnovers and just the way that their offense kind of stuttered through the entire game. That one possession to start the game really threw the Celtics up through the ringer, and they just never managed to figure out how to match that intensity. Now, coming into game four, it's going to be the same thing because you went and punched Golden State in the mouth in game three. Draymond didn't really have the effectiveness that he usually has, where, you know, he's playing those mind games. He's doing that Severus Snape, master of the dark arts type of game. That didn't work. It didn't happen. So Draymond's going to come out with the same intensity as what he came out in game two. Steph Curry is very pesky in terms of defense. You know, he's fast, he's mobile, he's short, can get under guys. He's going to be intense. The only downside to the entire Golden State's roster that we've seen so far, now they do have some of these guys who they might call upon, is they don't really have the athleticism or size to bother Boston once they penetrate, right? So they do a lot of their work on the perimeter. They limit penetration or force over penetration because that's how they can be successful. They're not going to bang with you down low. They're not going to muddy up the driving lanes. They're going to make it so you either overcommit or undercommit, and then they're going to punish you by pinching in at the point of attack, jumping the passing lanes, and then forcing in turnovers that way. It's going to be more of a skill-based defense that's kind of bleeds in with that intensity, that hustle, and then Draymond's going to be in your enforcer. Now, what we saw in game three, one of the ways that you get around this perimeter defense, one of the ways that you limit its effectiveness, knowing that there's no one at the back line to kind of rotate over that can really offer physicality or size or a deterrent, is to run some corner actions. Now, I wrote about this before game three, saying that corner actions for the Celtics have been successful. They were successful against Miami, who were a far more aggressive team. They weren't as physical as what Milwaukee were, but they were very aggressive. And that's the type of defense you're getting off Golden State. It's aggression more than physicality because they don't have that physicality to provide. So corner actions work a lot, whether that's coming off a pin down and then coming onto the wing and shooting the free, or curling over that pin down, catching the ball and then scoring that way, or whether it's, getting the ball on the corner, coming off a screen and then waiting for the defense to rotate over to you and then hitting that swing pass out to a shooter or a cutter. Whatever it is, you can create some space there, especially if you flow into a corner action and leads in, which is essentially an empty side pick and roll. If you're the guy in the corner lifting, you're creating that empty side, and now there's some space for the screener to pop into for that mid range or for that secondary attack. So these corner options worked for Boston in game 3. Here's one of the ones that we see here. Just a nice little pin down from Marcus Smart. Keeps Andrew Wiggins on him, gets JT an open free. We'll watch this one again so we can see it happen again. So look, we've got Marcus Smart, feeds it off to Al Horford, who goes into the delay. Nice pin down, JT open. But look at the space that gets left in that corner area once Wiggins gets caught up. If Marcus Smart wanted to, he could pop off that screen and then receive the ball back to either drive and then attack a closeout or just hit that midi. That it's not the best in terms of shot selection, shot quality, but it's wide open. So there's always that option there. And that's one of the reasons that these corner actions work so well, is because it opens up an entire side, especially if it's the corner guy lifting. Now, can Golden State counter that? Yeah, they can switch. They can ask somebody else to kind of hedge out and then slow Tatum down that way. And then you might have Marcus Smart in the corner. Maybe you have to kick it back out to Al Horford and reset the offense. That's fine. But now all of a sudden you're working on who's on Jason Tatum at this point, because if there's been a switch, then Andrew Wiggins is now guarding Marcus Smart. Does Tatum have a mismatch? Can Tatum run an inverted pick and roll with Al Horford to get an even better mismatch? You're playing advantage. It's always catch up. Think of it like building blocks. We've set this action. We're forced to switch. Now we've got a mismatch. If I screen again, that's another building block on top. And now we have another mismatch that might be more favorable. And then we attack. So these corner actions can be great, especially against a team that are going to be on the perimeter, really trying to keep you off that mid-range and really trying to keep you away from the rim because they just don't have a deterrent there. I like them personally. I think it's one of the better options. You can run some guard-to-guard actions out of there, some 21. You can run zoom actions out of there, which is super common anyway. But these corner actions are going to be highly impactful when the Celtics go to them, especially in the third quarter where you're already expecting a Golden State kind of onslaught, right? Another guy that played really well in game 3, I think it was arguably his best game of the playoffs, probably one of his best games of his career, just in terms of efficiency, impact, consistency, and that's Jaylen Brown. Now, if you're new to this channel, if you're new to my work, I'm a big Jaylen Brown guy, but I do feel like there's a very specific role that he should fill. And this is my personal opinion. I'm by no means an expert. I don't claim to be an expert, but I do have an opinion. That opinion is that he should be what I like to call a play finisher. So I kind of define a play finisher as somebody that isn't tasked with doing too much creation. They're limited to like 3, maybe 4 dribbles if they need it. But most of their offensive kind of output comes off catch and shoots, comes off, off the rip through, off a cut. Maybe they put the ball on the floor for 2 dribbles on a drive. Now, Jaylen Brown has shown, especially in game 3, that he does have some playmaking ability, but his handle lets him down there. He's perfectly fine in the open floor. You put him in traffic, that handle gets loose, and that's where the turnovers happen. So as a play finisher, you're not really going to be in traffic with the ball in your hands. You're going to be breaking through that traffic to finish off the catch, or you're going to be driving open space or playing the catch and shoot role. And that was pretty much what Jaylen did in that first quarter, where he kind of just went off, right? So we had him operating as a catch and shoot guy. You see Smart come off the inverted screen. They pinch on Smart. Smart kicks it out. JB wide open for that catch and shoot free. That's the type of thing I'm looking at, right? That play was always designed for Jaylen Brown, but Marcus Smart's a good enough 3-point shooter that you have to respect him above the break. So you have to stunt at him. And that was more of a stunt than a pinch. I did misbeat there, but you have to stunt at him. You have to send a body towards him. When you do that, if you're helping off Jaylen Brown, well, that's a win for Boston straight away. You're giving one of their best catch and shoot guys an open 3. Money all day. The inverted screen really kind of made them think this was for Tatum to get a mismatch. So they overreact on that to make sure that Tatum's taken out of the play. Tatum does a great job getting the ball out of his hands before the defense sets on him and starts to speed him up. All of a sudden, you're reacting, you're closing out on the guy that's caught the ball. Boom, next pass over, you've got Jaylen Brown. Play finisher. He finished the play. Simple as that, right? You've also got Jaylen Brown with his athleticism, which is another reason why he could be a play finisher, whether you're asking him to backcut guys, whether you're asking him to corner crash, whatever you can do. He's probably, outside of Rob Williams, your most explosive guy on the floor, or most explosive guy in a Celtics jersey. I'd say Andrew Wiggins is on par, if not more explosive than Jaylen, but obviously neither of them are as explosive as Rob. So you can get these type of back cuts. Look, you can get JB coming up. Oh, boom, money, just beautiful. But again, it's a play finisher. He's not being asked with creating his own offense. He's not being tasked with creating for others. If the defense rotates over and takes away that dunk, sure, make the read, get the ball out of your hands, and then attack whatever seams open up. That's fine. But route one should always be offense, because that's where JB's talent lies. Super great catch and shoot guy, excellent mid-range guy, reliable around the rim, can explode in a moment. And what we also saw, and I didn't put a clip for this, and I wish I did, but we saw Brown using that explosion to get guys on his hip off that first step. Now, when Brown does that, when he takes that first step and explodes, gets guys on his hip, it's really hard to get back in front of him. He's too fast, he's strong, and then he can just extend towards the rim, or he can kind of stop on a dime, lose you, pull up, stop on a dime, find somebody cutting, or maybe there's a shooter posted up somewhere and hit them there. So leaning into that again in game 4, giving yourself the best version of Jaylen Brown on offense is going to be like integral. Yeah, he can create sometimes. Yeah, he can handle the rock. He can run the pick and roll, but that's not where his strengths lie. Save developing that until the offseason. Now isn't the time to start saying to guys, we need you to expand your game. More along the lines of, we need you to refine your game and play where you're at your best. And for JB, that's a play finisher. I thought they did a fantastic job of putting him in that position in game 3. Ideally, I want to see them put him back in that position in game 4, 5, and then, if you need a game 6 or 7, let's run with that too. So that's the JB kind of thing. That's a key to the game again, is run JB as a game play finisher. Run some corner actions, deal with the intensity. The next thing up is rim pressure and size. Now, this is where Golden State can counter a little bit if they want to. One of the things that Boston really beat them up on was their length and athleticism in game 3. Now, sitting on the Warriors bench, you've got Jonathan Kuminga, you've got Moses Moody. These guys are athletes. They're quite good. They're quite explosive. They can get abused by Tatum, Brown, maybe even Rob, but they're going to give you a different look. They're going to match a little bit of that length. They're going to match a little bit of that athleticism. So, and Steve Kerr mentioned, we've been talking about this. He said it in yesterday's press conference. We've been talking. We're always talking whether we should swap someone out of the rotation, go deeper into the rotation, change lineups, do this, do that. And obviously that's what the coach's job's to do. So that's not a revelation by any means. But adding Kuminga in, adding Moody in, even if it's for 4, 5, 6 minute stretches or 6 minutes total through the game, just to kind of give the Celtics a different look to have to think about. That's something we should expect. If not in game 4, then definitely in game 5, should the Celtics win today. So when we're talking about that size, that length, we saw the Celtics dominate on the boards. Now, offensive rebounding has been pretty good all throughout the postseason. Defensive rebounding has been a concern, especially like when teams are corner crashing, which the Warriors do great. I think that Boston really commanded the paint in this game on both sides of the floor. I really liked this one here where we saw that it was Rob Williams getting a rebound over Draymond, but I don't know why it's not playing. But basically what we see is Rob getting the rebound. Oh, it's the wrong play altogether. My mistake, everybody. We see Rob getting the rebound. He gets the ball. Oh, I just pulled the wrong clip completely. My apologies. Just finishes over Draymond. There was another one. He shoots a little float out, bounces out, gets the rebound, goes back up. Either way, wrong clip. My apologies. I'm not restarting the video just to change that clip out. It's the same thing. Draymond is their best rim protector at the moment. Looney's there. Looney's strong, but he's not really mobile enough to rotate over. He doesn't have the size to deal with Rob or out either. And you see Looney kind of playing instincts and then coming out instincts because he's muddying up their offense, doesn't give you the spacing, isn't a rim runner of sorts. So you don't get that verticality, that vertical spacing. So you see Draymond picking Rob up a lot of the time, and there's just too much length there. As you saw in that one, Rob catches it over Draymond's head. Draymond manages to recover, does a great job of kind of forcing Rob back down to the ground without finishing the alley-oop. But then Rob just finishes over him anyway because that size difference, the bounce difference. So that clip was good enough. But then you also have the offensive rebounds because there's nobody there good enough in terms of size and strength. You box out Rob, who's taking Horford? If you box out Horford and Rob, you've still got two long athletic wings in Jalen and Jason. Marcus Smart's pesky. He's going to bully his way in there and catch a few offensive boards. Derek White just comes out of nowhere half the time. So there's too many options, too much size, too much versatility. I would expect to see Kuminga and Moody be put in there at some point. So the key to this one is utilize that length and utilize that athleticism. Bully them a little bit because Draymond will not care about bullying you. We saw him bully Grant Williams in game 2. We saw him try and bully him again in game 3. He definitely got inside JB's head in game 2. That's why JB on that one play waved everybody off, took Draymond off the dribble, finished. Well, you know, we're talking a generational defensive talent, and Jalen was just like, nah, dude, I need to prove myself here. So that's another one. So far, we've hit on everything's been offense, right? And that's cool. You know, you need offense. You're not going to win if you're not scoring the ball. So those are my keys on offense. You want to match the intensity. You want to utilize your size and athleticism. You want to make sure you're running corner actions to create those open scoring pockets, open driving lanes, or forcing mismatches. And obviously, if you're just open off that corner action, shoot, drive, do whatever you need to do. You want to utilize Jaylen Brown as a play finisher, you know, catch and shoot, cut as a cutter, as a ball handler driving off screens where there's actually a lane to drive and there's no traffic. And then that length and size is going to be key all across the board. Now, defensively, I think the Celtics have done a good job defensively. I think the biggest issue for me personally is playing such a deep drop against shooters, which is pretty much any ball handler that the Warriors are going to put into that pick and roll, right? If you're going to move over and put Steph in that pick and roll, you shouldn't be dropping deep. I don't care who's playing the trail, man. That's Steph Curry. He's got an elite shot release. His shot release speed is ridiculous. So if you're trailing behind him, you're probably not getting the block. You might speed him up a little bit, but this is Steph Curry we're talking about. Does it really make a difference? You can't drop so deep. Another aspect is, what if it's Jordan Poole? Jordan Poole can pull up and get his shot off quick. Klay Thompson can do the same thing. So ideally, you're either going to be switching these actions or you're going to be playing up to touch. Now, we'll look at a few clips. The first one is a switch off an inverted ghost screen from Steph Curry. So this was designed to cause confusion with the defense. Let me run the clip for you so you can see it. This is going to be an inverted ghost screen. Inverted screens when a small player screens for us, even for a bigger player. So we see Curry come over, doesn't set the screen, ghosts it. We get the switch. Then we get another pass. We get another switch there. Al Horford making sure that the ball can't get kicked back out onto the perimeter. Another screen, JB's picked him up, and then you get that pin down that ends in a good shot. But that was multiple actions to create that shot, and that kind of shows you how good defense can always be beat by better offense, but more importantly, how tough Boston make it when they're switching. You saw Steph get forced a switch, and all of a sudden you've got Derek White on you. Then you've got someone else gets Al Horford on them. Someone else gets Marcus Smart. Someone else has got Jaylen Brown. You're coming up against top tier defenders, left, right, and center. No matter who's switching on those screens, there's always another high level defender in your face. And sure, they managed to get the shot at the end, but they had to work for it. The ball went side to side. I think that was like a third side action that happened. You get the pin down works. Somebody doesn't navigate it good enough. Now you've got the open space to hit that free. But can you create those looks consistently against that switching defense? Do the Celtics get caught up on those screens regularly enough for you to feel like that's a bread and butter offense? Because in game 3, they tried it a bunch. Celtics switched a bunch. It was very rare they were finding those wide open pockets. But I like that clip because it ends in a make, because it shows you how every time you switch, you're not really getting onto a weaker defender, but you can still create scoring pockets if you stick with it, right? Now, the Celtics do a good job of this too. Moving on, another part of what they're doing is they're playing that deep drop, right? And so when I say a deep drop, if we look, just keep focused on Al Horford. Just watch how far back Al Horford comes to defend this pick and roll. He's around on a nail by the time the shot's taken, doesn't close out. He's more concerned about guarding the drive, right? Now, if you're going to drop there and the guy's driving, fine, but you need to make sure that you've got enough room to be able to close out on that shot. And if that's Steph Curry, that was Jordan Poole in that play. If it, you shouldn't be dropping on Jordan Poole just like you shouldn't be dropping on Steph. But if you're going to do that, you need an exceptional trail man. Derek White is probably the best trail defender on the Celtics right now. So you want Derek White in that action, or you want to be able to find a way to get him into that action quickly. If he's not on the floor, then Jason Tatum's probably the guy. But that deep drop has been cause for concern throughout this series so far. Steph Curry has smoked them in the pick and roll because they've been running that. And one way they've kind of switched this is by playing up to touch. Now, this clip isn't like the best at displaying up to touch, but what it does is it shows you an up to touch piece of defense flowing into a drop. So I want to show both just because it works really well on this clip, right? So we're going to see here Grant Williams is up to touch on Wiggins, gets the switch, and then you've got Robin drop. So you get the up to touch defense first, where you see that Grant Williams instantly takes away that space. Boom, I'm up to touch, the switch is there, and I'm in your face. Then it flows into a second pick and roll where you've got Rob in drop, and now there's a scoring pocket. And it's that clip's so good because it shows you how beneficial it is playing up to touch. And that just means being in touching distance of the screener. If you can extend your arm and touch the screener, you're playing up to touch. You can switch, you can hedge, you're right there. You can suck away that space as quickly as you need to. And then that second screen, you're in the drop and that scoring pocket opens up. So figuring a way to avoid dropping so deep, you can shallow drop. Like if you go up to touch and then you don't hedge or you don't stunt, but you just stay at the line, like at the level of the screen all the time, you're in a shallow drop because there's still a space for the ball handler to come over because you're just below the level of the screen, but you're not deep enough for him to have a shooting pocket. You might have a bit more trouble staying in front of somebody like Steph that's going to hit you with the crossover or the hezzy. But as long as you don't leave your feet when that hezzy comes or that stutter step, you still have an opportunity. Going deep like Rob, like Al, and I get why, these guys aren't the most mobile guys when they're flipping their hips. It's going to slow them down. They're probably going to end up on a guy's hip. Then they're going to draw fouls. So I get why you want to put them in drop, but playing them a bit higher up just makes more sense to me. And that's what I'd be looking for on defense. So on defense, keep running those switches because I think they work. You're forcing second, third, fourth side actions before they're getting a shot off. And yeah, if they go in, they go in. If they don't, you're wearing away their shot clock. You're making them question how they're going to be able to break you down. If they can break you down, it's more of a mental cat and mouse game. So definitely be running that. Playing up to touch far more than playing drop. Those are my two defensive things. I think you still need to box out. Obviously, that's like basketball 101. You still need to control the boards. And ideally, you want to deny any corner crashes. You want to make sure they're not happening. So those are what I'm looking for. Those are the adjustments and the continuity from what we saw in game 3 heading into game 4 that I think will give the Celtics the best chance of winning in tonight on Friday. So yep, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. Usually when I do camera work, I've usually got a co-host. So doing this solo is all new to me. So if I've stuttered, if I've pulled the wrong clip, I apologize. I'm still learning how to do this as a solo gig. If you did find this useful, leave some comments. What adjustments would you guys like to see? Do you want to see them, I don't know, more pick and roll, less pick and roll, some 21? What do you want to see? Is there a player that you think could be beneficial here? Do you want to see more Pritchard, less Pritchard? Just leave me a comment. We can get a discussion going. Also, make sure to check out the article when it comes out over on Celtics blog. That'll be out later today. And obviously, if you're not new to Celtics blog, then they've got some fantastic people over there. You've got Keith Smith, you've got Will Biana, you've got Bobby Manning, who I'm sure if you're on YouTube, from CLNS Media, and Andrew Doxey. Just a string of highly talented, highly intelligent guys that are writing over there. So if you're not checking out the work there, you're missing out, man, because it's some of the best Celtics content you're going to find anywhere. Right then, I'm going to leave you all to it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back later over the weekend. I was going to say later in the week. It's the end of the week. I'll be back over the weekend or early next week where we can look at what happened in game 4 and what to expect moving into game 5. Peace.